Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Isaac from Alchemy, here this week with special guest Chris, one of my best buddies and co founder of Alchemy. Welcome to our Kickstarter live stream. We are here for questions. Chris, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? My name's Chris. As Isaac said, best buddy. That's our official title here. Now I'm the co-founder of Alchemy and designery guy, all the business things, all that stuff. So that's what I do.
Love it.
I'm great at live streams too, just for the record.
How's everything sound so far? Any levels need to be adjusted? Any stuff need to be unadjusted? Hopefully it's all good for you all. It's been a while since we've done a live stream. We did one for the Lost Druid Kickstarter. We were hanging out on there quite a bit, and throughout the whole playtesting phases of that. But been
Yeah,
some
we
time.
we really like jumped in with both feet on the whole let's do a live stream thing and like started our first stream with it's like 3 hours long or something like that.
Yeah,
I think we were just full-time streaming our lives during that whole Kickstarter. It's
pretty
like Truman
much.
Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about this Kickstarter. Man, this has been a long time coming. We've had sort of this love-hate relationship with Kickstarter, and I think worry about taking software there versus like books and our content and stuff like that. Isaac, I know we've been talking about this, like kicking it back and forth for a really long time.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the fact that we're finally here? We finally did it, and how it's been going.
I'm willing to admit here in front of you and everyone else that you were right and I was wrong. This seems to be much more successful than I anticipated. So thank you, everyone, for helping make Chris right.
No, I mean, yes, I want to echo that. Thank you, everybody, so much. Just for the record, we're kind of blown away. This exceeded all expectations on day one. But to your credit, Isaac, I think that all things are right in the right time. And if we would have done this last year, 6 months ago, like if we would have done this at any time except for right now, I think it would have been tricky. I think everything kind of aligned for us, like from a feature set perspective, from a user base perspective, and then from just the business side of things, like the partnerships and the content and the ability to support this stuff. I think one of the things that I'm most proud of on the Kickstarter is to be able to show all the partnerships that we have, all the amazing creators that support our platform, who believe in our vision, and to sort of be able to platform them and spotlight them. I think that's something that's been really important to us at Alchemy, is to actually really serve these creators and come behind them in a big way and make their stuff look really good, really beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been awesome. Cool. So we asked for some questions. There is a Google form in the announcement we put out. By the way, we only sent this out to our Discord server. We wanted to keep this like somewhat small, and then we're gonna record this and throw it out as a Kickstarter update. We would just be way too nervous if we blasted this on socials and Kickstarter. So we'll do the video on demand. But if you're here and you're live, first of all, thank you. Second of all, throw questions in the YouTube chat or throw them into Discord and we'll see them. But yeah, I think to start out, I wanted to kind of walk through the page a little bit. And so we've got that up here on the right. Again, expectations blown away. We had no idea that this was going to do what it did, and I think that was probably pretty prevalent in our lack of preparedness on stretch goals. We've basically already gone through all the ones that we had planned, and so we are sort of feverishly working on adding new ones. And I guess, yeah, starting kind of right there at the top, we've already unlocked over $150 in value in stretch goals alone. So these are all Alchemy enhanced titles that are previously not in any of the content decks offered on the Kickstarter. So Forbidden Lands, Mutant Year Zero, Runes of Cimbrum, Twilight 2000, and then last night we unlocked Degenesis, which I'm so excited about. But enhanced is as you know, because you've read this Kickstarter page, music, motion graphics, bespoke UI, motion overlays, and the core rulebook itself. So so all of those things kind of come together and create this really cool like immersive experience. But we're excited to, as these continue to unlock, to really increase the value of your pledge. And I'm pumped about that. Isaac, which one of these titles do you think you're like the most excited to play in an enhanced way on Alchemy?
Forbidden Lands, for sure.
Yeah.
I love the box set for Forbidden Lands. It's back there on my shelf somewhere. I have a sad story about it. It got severely damaged in my bags on the way back from a con where I picked it up, but the books are fine. Just the box has like a hole in it from where something else in my bag, probably some computer equipment, just smashed into it. But yeah, I mean, Forbidden Lands for sure.
It doesn't help that we fly to cons like we are like bomb builders. I don't know.
Yeah. I get a TSA note in my bag every single time. They're like, "Hey, just so you know, we looked at everything in here and we're terrified." But
yeah,
guess you're okay.
And for context, why we fly with part of our booth, so all the tech stuff, routers and cables and all that stuff.
Yeah, there was one time I flew with 4 laptops and a router and just, I don't even remember what all was in there, but a lot.
Yeah. So looking at the page here, sort of up at the top, it's been so difficult to create this Kickstarter page. And I think because Alchemy is a platform and platforms have lots of features and hundreds, in fact, and it's really hard to kind of point to any one and say like, these are the ones that you should care about, that you should look at. And as much time as we spend pitching Alchemy or talking about it or materializing it, manifesting it into the world, it's really hard to boil it down into a really succinct thing where someone's just going to scroll that really quick, and so get that point across. But we kind of settled on this idea that and really we've been talking about this from the very beginning, is that Alchemy is a window into any story world. It's clear, it's colorless, and it's all meant to sort of amplify what's behind it or what's on the other side of it. And so that's kind of the inspiration there. But we really call out 4 things. It's a gameplay experience. It's a place to create worlds. It's a place to stream games, and it's a place to discover new content. And all that stuff sort of comes together in what we think it's the alchemy of all those things that make a magical platform. All those things kind of coming together. So that's why we call the platform Alchemy. Ba-doom. So version 1, I think this is a good place to say that, like, yes, we've been working on Alchemy, Isaac. Just blurs together for me.
Yeah, so 2018 was when we actually started tinkering with some ideas part-time. We were both working other jobs then, and we broke ground on some cool stuff back then. Basically what you see as the journal in the game now was all there was. And we started building it so that we could use it for our own games, start replacing some of the tools we were using back then. Shout out to our group back then for being good troopers for putting up with what they had to put up with in the early days of Alchemy. But we dog fed. We ate our own dog food, as they say in the industry, and worked with some pretty bad stuff in the early days. But yeah, May of 2018 was when we actually started. And then we took it full-time beginning of last year. So we've been kind of doing it in earnest, I think, for a little over a year now.
Yeah. I look back on those times when we started it with such fond memories. Not only was that like, probably the most magical time for me in my lifetime of playing role-playing games, but also just the excitement of building our own tool and paving our own path and really trying to understand what it was about us individually and our group that we love to do in role-playing games. And I think that's where for us, I think being all of us were musicians, I think, and so music was a really big part in the kind of audio aspect of the immersion. And I remember like it was such a Spartan experience then. I remember actually sitting back in a chair with headphones on, with like my eyes closed, and we would play for hours that way. And so I just remember thinking about like this, really feeling inspired to build an online tool that amplified that, like that image in my mind, like could it make that image better? And that's a really weird piece of software to build that like casts an image in your mind that isn't displayed on anywhere in pixels. But
Yeah, definitely.
So kind of scrolling to this fantasy deck portion here. It's funny, we've had a lot of questions about like, why are you offering cards? Like, what are the value of these cards? They're physical, tarot size, beautifully designed cards. And I think honestly the short answer here, and I said this in an update, we just think they're really cool, and ultimately we wanted to commemorate our version 1 launch with something that you could hold in your hand. And I have a belief that the folks that enjoy tabletop gaming, most of us are transmedia collectors, meaning we buy books, we buy the PDF, we buy the VTT version. We're pissed that we're buying them all separately at individual prices. But we like to hold things in our hands. We like to put things on our bookshelves. I think everyone that I talk to on business calls, like they have a shelf behind them, like Isaac, just full of games. Mine's over here. And do we all like pop those open and read them and hold them all the time? Maybe not all the time, but we definitely do when we do. And so anyway, we just really wanted to have something physical, I think, to commemorate Alchemy. But also the utility of these cards is that they're collectible. And that's why we've put so much time into making them really beautiful. But also we've established sort of a format and a style for them. They are all individually numbered. They do have different editions. So we've actually launched 13 cards before these cards, and they have gone into what we call the founder box, which was kind of something we did when we first launched into early access. And we had a lot of people jump onto that and really enjoy the aspect of the cards. And so we wanted to continue that on. But yeah, I digress. So lots and lots of cards, lots and lots of these decks, and incredible partners from all over the place. I still scroll this and I'm like, how did we get so lucky to get all these people, or when did we talk to all these people? Because it's so many. But every card has a unique story and a fond memory of me or Asher or Isaac talking to someone at a con or getting a random email and kind of following up on things. But yeah, I think kind of getting to this Alchemy Enhanced thing. Why Alchemy Enhanced? I think about this because, Isaac, we built so many tools to support the Lost Druid, our original module, and I think that was kind of the prototype. I always say that's like our Super Mario to our Nintendo, and I think with Enhanced, it was this idea of like, okay, well, let's invest that same level of care into creating assets for other people's stuff, like our licensed partners. And I think that was something that you kind of encouraged, like from the beginning, was like the original stuff's really cool, but it takes so much time, so much effort, so much like capital to push forward. So I'm really excited about this enhanced thing. And I think actually we talked about this also from the very beginning when we were talking about original content and licensed original content. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of creating general purpose tools and not doing anything just for us. So, as Chris mentioned with the Lost Druid, we built the whole universe feature so that when you scanned codes in the Lost Druid book, you'd have somewhere to go, and it sort of evolved from that into what it is today, which is kind of a pretty crucial component of using Alchemy.
Yeah, actually, that's such a great way to put it because I remember when I first came up with this idea about creating a universe. It was for the Lost Druid, like specifically. I remember it was like, hey, we'll create a little tab over here. It'll be our little playground. We'll write articles. We'll write, throw art in it. And you're like, it's cool, but we should make this for everybody. But I love that. I feel like we're constantly kind of pushing on that. Like, how can we make this more of a utility for people? So yeah, you can check out the demos here. We're working with some incredible motion designers. Shout out to Remy specifically, and Command Creative Studios in California, who's building some incredible soundscapes for these titles and some dynamic audio. And that's kind of one thing that we haven't really, I guess, listed on the Kickstarter as a feature, because that's something that will be a part of Enhanced when we can build it or when we get to it. But all of this music is being composed in multiple layers, meaning you can steer where you want it to go dynamically. What that means is specifically there's like a base layer, there is a medium layer, and then there's like a high intensity layer. And if you imagine all three of those tracks playing concurrently, and you have the ability to mix them in a tool that is not actually flipping sliders, but something that's an omnidirectional slider. I want this to feel a little more intense, or I want this to feel a little bit more subdued. That's something we're working toward. Haven't really talked about that, again, because we don't know what the timeline looks like, but all the music's going to be backwards compatible for it. So really pumped about that. Gameplay features. So you're scrolling for 5 minutes and you finally get into like, what is Alchemy? Isaac, the thing I think is so funny about this module is that the first two things for these features are things we said we'd never do in the beginning.
Yeah.
Or at least I said.
Right. Yeah, we were definitely very anti battle maps in the beginning because as I mentioned, we were building Alchemy because we were tired of the tools that we were using in the past, and we would spend 4 hours of a session staring at like a not great battle map. There are great battle maps out there, don't get me wrong, but the ones that we were staring at were not great. And they really didn't fit where we were role-playing often. So that was kind of the genesis of Alchemy for us. And then we said we would probably never do tactical mode because there are other tools that do that really well. And here we are. We ended up adding it because mostly because of feedback. There was kind of an overwhelming response of, this is cool, but combat is not very much fun in Theater of the Mind. If you have anything more complicated than just a few participants, it gets pretty hard to keep track of without a map or some sort of visual. So the simplest visual, I think, is actually a battle map for oftentimes those tactical scenarios. But there are other things, and we plan to bring some other things into Alchemy to help run Theater of the Mind combat without battle maps. We're just not quite there yet.
Yeah, again, I think it comes kind of back to the timing of everything, because like I'm actually really glad that we took this path in the beginning of, let's really focus on this scene-based storytelling environment. Let's build like this really rich immersion aspect. Let's build this UI that can scale to mobile and, feel really airy and light and clean. And that sort of established an identity for what we were doing. And then it made it really cool to bring in a tactical mode. And now, we are embracing the virtual tabletop name. We are building the virtual tabletop tools. As you can see here, there's a measuring tool, there's a there's a grid, there's scalable tokens, there's map variants, there's grid adjustments in the utility bar to the right. But really, like, I think it was timing that made this all click together. And Isaac, I remember you and I would get on calls for hours, and we had so many different iterations of how to do battle maps. And when we landed on this, like, you know, this dichotomy of scene and battle map, and that you can kind of flow between those things as your story takes you to different parts, I think that was kind of the magic that was like, oh,
yeah, works. It feels right. It doesn't feel sort of like a different experience. I mean, I don't know. It does feel like a different experience, but it doesn't feel like a wrong experience. It doesn't feel like the only mode. It's, you know, it augments the scene and the environment versus replacing it.
Yeah. I think that's what I love about like Chepeku scenes, which is like this new Patreon that Chepeku, the map creators, have created, that they're basically making a bunch of like environmental scenes to match all their battle maps. This one here actually is a Chepeku map for the Overgrown Magic Forest, and they've created a scene for it. And so when you have that, when you can switch between sort of that top down and then that scene based view, it's so magical. There's also Mark Drummond J who does this, Cedric H. There's quite a few folks who are kind of getting on this idea of like doing scenes for their top down maps, and I just think that's absolutely incredible. If you are one of those people who do this, and I didn't say your name just now, like, reach out. We're definitely excited about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the second thing, video chat. You know, I sort of always had this stubborn mentality of, I want to close my eyes and become my character, and I don't want to see, you know, the Forbidden Lands box with the hole in it behind you. I don't want to see your PlayStation 5 and think about that, you know, like I don't want to see your exercise bike or your bedroom. But I think that the more we've been in early access, the more people have been using it, the more we see that, like, you know, certain different people need different things to communicate, and there's so much in being able to see someone's face, facial expressions, using your hands, whatever it is to communicate. But I think even more than that is also this aspect of streaming and creating a tool that you could really easily cast your game to a live platform like YouTube or Twitch, or do it right on the platform itself. How do you feel about video? I don't know if I've ever asked you that question.
I feel pretty good about it. Yeah, I mean, we haven't played in a year and a half. It feels like it's like, hey, let's build the tool so our games will be better, but then we can't play anymore.
But at least we have a calendar invite every week that we cancel.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get there. It will be. We'll land in a sane place here pretty soon. Maybe, probably not, but maybe. And then we'll get to try out video chat for more than just testing every couple days. But yeah, overall, I mean, I feel pretty good about it. I don't know how I'll feel about it in an actual game, but I know that there are many people out there who do rely on it to, you know, feel the game with their folks, because they need to see them to see how they're reacting. So it's definitely a very important tool that I have no regrets in us building.
Nice. Well, I guess kind of scrolling through this, there's other cool features of Alchemy. I think you all know and love them. The one thing I would call out is if you're watching this and you don't know, Alchemy is in early access now. You can go sign up for a free account and use it. And I think that's one of the cool things about coming to Kickstarter is oftentimes people come to Kickstarter with an idea, and you sell that idea, and then, you know, a year, 2, 3, 10 years later, you get the thing. And that happens a lot in software because it's really easy to over or underestimate what it takes to do something. You know, this feature here for world building, a text editor. Yeah, it seems really simple, right? Like, there's text editors everywhere.
Yeah, Turns out there's a lot of them, and they're single apps for a reason, because it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's another product.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's kind of wild about Universe is it's turned into a completely like a product that we could spin off and it could be completely isolated. Um, I think another big part of Universe that not a lot of people see is that it's connected to everything in that alchemy way, meaning this is also where our team ingests all the content for Free League and Modifius and Paizo. We use these tools internally to build games, to build these universes, and then that becomes the thing that feeds the marketplace. And then when you buy something from the marketplace, it's the thing that creates a game, and those scenes come together and make a game. The characters here, the NPCs and the pre-mades, the items, the spells, all that content ends up, being the boilerplate stuff that feeds the games. So in that sense, if you can imagine, if you were playing on another VTT, and you had D&D Beyond for all of your content, imagine being able to connect those two things together, and like that's kind of what you have when you've got it all on the same platform. Streaming, I think I would love to just kind of call out really fast here that this is something we've been wanting to do, forever. So excited to finally be teasing that here. But the basic idea is Alchemy is already really set up to be something that's, stream ready. Like it's pretty. It's mainly more about the artwork. And then when you add cameras to it, you're just kind of rearranging those frames, and now you've got something that is actually worthy to stream. You don't have to mask anything. You don't cut anything out. You don't have to use an OBS like tool to get there. And so that's what streamer mode's all about. It's kind of a secondary display you can pop out. It takes away all of the player specific stuff and gives you something that you could cast to an audience. And I think one of the things that's really cool about streamer mode is the ability to drop your own logos and graphics and things like that without, again, having to do all that in post or in some kind of like behind the scenes tool. And Isaac, you've heard me talk about this a lot, but I think the other thing I'm really pumped about with streamer is the fact that you can view it this way on the platform itself, and it's not necessarily all about, casting something to Twitch or to YouTube, though we will support that. But I think, Alchemy kind of being a streaming platform in and of itself, specifically for role-playing games, something I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really great to be able to build in a lot of the streamer mode and spectator features that we've talked about forever. Things like, even just chat, being able to interact with people who are watching a game live on Alchemy. Or reacting, react to a roll, react to something that happened. And, there's a lot we could do with that feature to make it really interactive too after V1.
Sure. Yeah. we have, this is like answering so many questions in one statement, but we have a lot of things that we're planning for version 1, and a lot of questions come in about different features or game systems we should support. And basically the answer to everything is yes. We want to do everything, but we are really trying to protect our velocity and make sure that what we're promising you here on Kickstarter, is something that we're going to deliver when we say we're going to deliver it. And if we say yes to too many things, we're effectively saying no to a bunch of other things that we've already promised. So what you see here on the Kickstarter is what you're going to get in the late summer, early fall. And that's another thing we're really proud of is that turnaround time is near. We feel like we've done a ton of groundwork to support game systems, to build enhanced features, to build streamer mode, to build the sort of VTT V1 features. And I think that we're in a really good spot to be able to deliver on those things. I think when we look at the marketplace, there's not a ton to say about the fact that we're trying to build a marketplace that is beautiful. but it's somewhere you can browse content and buy it. Uh, and I think the one thing I would say about it is, we are trying to make it very curated, and make it very, sort of rich. And, we want to create experiences in the app that are much more about like community members sharing content, independent creators, asset developers, creating stuff and then being able to share that on the platform. But I think the marketplace, we've always sort of envisioned it as something that is, I don't know, a little higher polish, I guess, Isaac. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, how would you describe it?
Yeah, definitely more curated, more focused on kind of the marketplace is that place where you can find the kind of the professional stuff, I guess, in a way. Like the bigger stuff will be on the marketplace, but we definitely want to create a place for the people who create smaller content or maybe independent creators to get their content out there too.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
And,
teased in the Kickstarter page anywhere because it's not a V1 feature, but we're definitely thinking about that for the future.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, in the app today, there is a tab for public universes, and it says coming. I don't know how long that will stay coming soon, but that's where it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like the ability to share the stuff that you make. I mean, we have so many incredible like creative people on the platform today that are always sharing things in our Discord. And I want to see those things displayed somewhere and browse them. I think that's going to be honestly the most rewarding part of this whole thing. I love looking at people's universes or popping into spectatable games and seeing what people do with the platform.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other
someone,
thing I would say about our
sorry.
marketplace is that this is one scope for V1 that we don't have to do any work on. We've already got the marketplace built. You can go on there. You can buy stuff today. Shout out to Stripe for building an amazing platform for selling stuff on the internet. But yeah, we don't have any real effort to do for V1 for the marketplace. So don't worry about that.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited about that. So looking at rewards, this is the exciting part, right? I mean, we're basically starting everything with this idea of a backer account. And I think this is a really cool reward. I think I would be pretty pumped about this because, I mean, if I was just not the person building this platform with you, but a backer of it, because we really wanted to sort of create this concept where people could etch their names in the wet cement of our foundation, and have these special accounts that will only ever exist for these 30 days that this Kickstarter is live. They'll only ever be available. And those accounts would look different on the platform. So you will have a badge that says backer. When you join games, your name will be a different color. You can sort of imagine it like a Discord role. But the cool thing about it is that badge will be unique. It will be tied to your backer number. So if you're backer number 1 or 420, 69, 666, all the numbers, like that will be forever tied to your backer badge. The other thing to say about it is on the tech side of things, we flag those accounts, which means that we can launch features specifically to those accounts. That would be early features. Like, for example, we've had video chat in test for 4 weeks now with our founders. And so the same types of benefits are things that we can extend to backers. And I think we want to do that with marketplace discounts, advanced features, et cetera. So we're really excited about, kind of utilizing those and finding different people in the community that have supported us that we can kind of spoil in return.
Yeah.
So yeah, the second tier here, content deck. So we really wanted to make this really simple, and that's why we only have 4 tiers. The first tier, the first content related tier is this content deck. You get You back at the content deck level, and then you choose which deck you want in the pledge manager. I'm like really burpy today. So you pledge, and then when the campaign ends, you go to the pledge manager. The pledge manager says, which one do you want? Do you want fantasy, horror, modern, futures? And you get to pick which one you want. And then you will also be able to add on additional decks. So if you're someone out there who you're like, all I want is like fantasy and modern, I don't really care about anything else, you can get that in the pledge manager. So that will all be there. The other thing to say about this is stretch goals. I will say, as you saw in my update, we sort of goofed a little bit when we launched on stretch goals. And for the first day of the campaign, they were only available in the backer box. But that's not what we intended to do. And so we made that very clear in this update where on these individuals reward modules, you could see all the additional titles that you're getting. And again, we just unlocked Degenesis last night, so you're going to get all that as well. Second tier, the content deck bundle is if you want to get 3 things or 3 decks, this is the best way to do it because you're going to save. You're going to save a bit. You're going to save $25. So that's the best way to get 3 things. Best way to get all things, though, is the backer box set. So with the backer box set, you get 5 decks. And this has probably been our most contentious part of the Kickstarter, I think, because people really like that dystopian deck. And they want to be able to get that individually, but we put it in the backer box as an exclusive. Yeah, that's what we did. So
To
it's
clarify,
in there.
that'll all be available on our marketplace afterwards. So it's not the only
Yes.
way to get that content, but it is the only way to get that content on the Kickstarter at a massive discount. So
Yeah. So that's a great point. Everything will be available later. And then finally, I've just been blown away by this, Isaac, that so many people are excited about this lifetime. We were joking about this. It was like, we called it the meme tier, like, because there's always a tier on a Kickstarter that's just this astronomical price. And it's like, get everything, and I was always like, I don't know who backs those, but we threw it out there and so many of you were like, heck yeah, I'm here for life. And wow, that means a lot. So thank you so much for backing that. We're going to make this a really special experience for you. So we talked already about stretch goals. The ones that we revealed last night. So scrolling down to Call of Cthulhu, Alchemy Enhanced Upgrade. So as I said, we already sort of blew through all of the goals that we had planned, which were net new Alchemy Enhanced titles. And now we're sort of moving on to like, what additional value can we bring? And we had a ton of really amazing titles on this Kickstarter that weren't enhanced. It didn't get the enhanced treatment. And building these enhanced assets is very expensive. Hiring a studio to create music, dynamic music, is expensive, and motion graphics are expensive, and interface design, the graphic design, those things take time, and it takes a lot of development time actually to create the bespoke integrations for the interface as well. So all those costs, mainly assets, are things that we want to unlock with stretch goals. And so for this next phase of stretch goals, we're thinking about taking games like Call of Cthulhu that were going to just be the content and upgrading it to the enhanced version. So that's our next stretch goal at 350. And we're thinking that the stretch goal beyond that, or at least in this series, the next several will probably be enhanced upgrades as well. So pumped about that. Right on. Well, that's the Kickstarter page. I wanted to make one clarifying point about add-ons. So one thing that's a little confusing, Isaac, if you pop into like you're going to pledge and then go to the add-on page, there is all of those unlocked stretch goals as add-ons. The hard thing is once somebody has pledged for something or added something on, Kickstarter won't let you edit it, for good reason, because they don't want you to bamboozle people. So it's not super clear that those stretch goals have already been unlocked. So Mutineer Zero, Ruins of Simbra, Twilight 2000, if you backed at $50 and higher, you're going to get all of that stuff. So if you add it on in the add-on section, you're going to get an additional one. So we want to make that super clear. We'll probably send an update about that. I'm sure there's people who added that on who don't realize that they're getting it already. So we're doing what we can. I'm actually working with Kickstarters to get that copy updated. I was able to update the graphic last night. It says additional copy on it, but yeah, it's the other add-ons we don't actually talk about on the page. I need to build something to show that, but in every enhanced module, you get the core rulebook. And so what these complete your collection add-ons are is basically everything else that's not a core. So if you have the modern deck, you got Tales from the Loop enhanced, and that has the core rulebook. The complete your collection is going to give you everything else that's available. So all the adventures, all the supplements that are available for Tales from the Loop. Same with Forbidden Lands, etc. So those are really cool. The other thing to say about that is massively discounted as well. They're 30% off the retail price. So it's a really, really good deal to grab those bundles. And we will also have those available in the Pledge Manager as well.
Sweet.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. Well, we're 45 minutes into this, and we have not directly answered any questions yet. Perhaps we should shift our attention to some questions. What do you think?
Let's do it. I mean, how are you? Let's start with that.
Doing great. How are you?
Actually, you know what this reminds me of? And no spoilers here, but I did watch the D&D movie last night, which was nice. There's a really great scene, no spoilers, where they have to ask 5 questions. That was probably my favorite scene. If you know, you know.
I immediately thought of that too. I'm glad. We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah. Do you like cats? Oh, I laughed hard at that. Yeah, let's answer some questions, man.
Well, let's do it. I'm going to jump over to Alchemy here. Of course, we're using Alchemy to organize our questions. Chris, this one's a good one for you, and I think maybe we should follow up on this one later on. But Alberto asked, could you post some kind of preview of what adventures, cartography, or scenarios look like? An example of each one would be great.
All of them?
Yeah, just gonna have to go through all of them.
Yeah.
Maybe just subscribe to Chris's. What's one of those platforms that I could call out here? Subscribe to Chris somewhere. Yeah, go on Chris's OnlyFans and he'll.
All it is like product tour and
yeah,
help videos.
Exactly.
I think that what we could do is, well, I mean, I think the first thing to say, and again, maybe Alberto, you don't know this yet, but Alchemy is live. When you sign up for a free account, there are lots of free adventures. There's even some free starter content that comes preloaded, and you can jump in and kick the tires. The one thing we don't have in early access is a lot of early onboarding and help articles and things like that. We are making that stuff. It's all coming, and part of that we're hoping will eventually be video-based stuff where you can watch tutorials and whatnot. We do actually have some things on our YouTube channel, right? Like maybe a little out of date, but there's some stuff up there.
Yeah, I mean, like platform features and stuff. 2 devlogs ago, I went on a short tour of some marketplace stuff, and I kind of plan on doing more of that from time to time. Since that episode, we've launched like 8 things on the marketplace, and I don't think I'm going to spend time going through 8 things from the marketplace in the next devlog because there will be other juicy dev bits to go through, but we could certainly do a little bit more of that. And I think definitely for the Kickstarter, get some more of that preview stuff out there.
Sweet. What else we got?
Aetheril asks, are there any plans to make character/NPC profile images draggable? Having to crop each individual image to fit the circle design of Alchemy is very time consuming when making a lot of NPCs. Yes.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that actually might be in our V1 scope. So if it's not, we'll do it shortly thereafter.
Yeah, the little beaker in the left nav pops open our roadmap for version 1. And one of the things we have in there is a very blanket statement in 2 words, basically, that's drag and drop everything. We want to make everything in Alchemy drag and droppable, so resortable, drag a token from the NPC panel onto the tactical mode. But I think also drag and drop to upload, drag and drop a file off of your desktop onto your avatar. And, to answer this question specifically, we've always talked about doing some like post-upload image processing where you could change the crop, you could change the size of the image. It's all just stuff that's, on that list that we need to munch through.
Yep, definitely. Okay, next up. Frederick asks, what are the system requirements to enjoy Alchemy? I like to answer this one with you need a device that can connect to the internet. And here's basically the hard requirement on my end is it's got to be 1366 by like 768 or whatever, because we really aren't optimized for small screens yet. We will get there, but we're not there yet. Beyond that, you could probably run this on like your smart fridge, the little the low budget Android tablet that's in the smart fridge. I mean, maybe you wouldn't be able to use your motion overlays or animated battle maps or whatever, but the cool thing is like you can go as lo-fi as you want. You can have a static image, and that's it. Like you could run that on a toaster. And then you can scale up from there. You could get your gaming PC involved and have all these motion effects. You can get your GPU involved and run animated battle maps, and just kind of the sky's the limit. But I think at the low end, resolution is really the only thing we ask for. Is a device that's at least 1366 by 768 pixels in its display.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a for now thing. We designed everything in Alchemy to work on tablets for touch, for mobile small screens, and we'll get there eventually. Everything outside of the game experience is all fully mobile optimized. It just comes down to like building out those things for the game experience. And we just, honestly, we've been excited about it for a long time. Actually, the years before we started working on Alchemy, we did all mobile development. And so really we started Alchemy as an iPad app, and that was kind of where we went. But we've been really driven by the user base, and the user base is like, yeah, we're on PCs and we've got 2 monitors. We get more questions about being able to pop windows into different monitors than we do about being able to support small screens.
Yeah.
And I think that it's kind of like the utility of these games. There's just so much that you need to do in most of them that like it's a lot to do on a small screen.
Yeah. We brought a very early version of Alchemy to the Gen Con playtest hall the first year that it was online. I think that was 2020. And we only had an iPad app at that point in time. And the playtest coordinators were struggling to find people to playtest it who had iPads. Everybody else, they had a lot of people wanting to playtest it, but they're like, oh, I don't have an iPad. So that was our first sign that like maybe people don't really want to play on an iPad yet. So let's rethink this a little bit. Here we are.
Yeah. But all that to say, it is very important to us. I mean, I think we like the idea that game night's already so hard to schedule and plan and to keep. If you can call in from your mobile device and throw in a pair of headphones and play your turn while you're driving or you're traveling or you're not at your computer, and game night cannot get canceled, like that's the real win with device ubiquity. And we're definitely building it. It's just about prioritization.
Yeah. I'm going to grab a question from YouTube chat real quick that's related to what we're talking about right now. Tabletop RPG Music asked, any thoughts on how to overcome the webm issue on iOS/iPadOS devices? Unfortunately, that is not up to us. It is iOS at a system level that doesn't support webms. So it's on their roadmap, and it was supposed to land in iOS 16. It hasn't landed yet, but given enough time, it will eventually support webm videos and webm videos with transparency, which is what we tend to use for our motion overlays. So on a long enough timeline, iPadOS will support webms, and there's not really much that we can do. I mean, technically, there's probably something we could do, but that would be another one of those like separate products. We'd be like transcoding a webm into some other crazy particle cloud or something. I don't know how that would even work, but patience, I think, is the key there. Apple is working on that for iOS.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the WebM. Like, it is the only video format that has, and so that's why we use it. But it's also incredibly efficient, small, and so everything that we upload to Alchemy is WebP and WebM, which is just a great progressively loading bitmap image compression and file type, I guess. I know Google made it, I don't know, whatever, but it's really small. Everything's really small. It holds quality really well, and that's kind of something that we're chasing, is like high performance in Alchemy. The ability, sometimes you get into Alchemy, you've got a motion battle map, motion overlay, motion background,
video chat,
video chat, 2 streams of music playing.
That's where the toaster doesn't cut it anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Here's a good one for you, Chris. Robmo asks, what requirements will be minimal for Alchemy to sell smaller scale user content on the platform?
Interesting. To sell smaller scale user content on the platform.
We didn't pre-screen these questions, so hopefully there's nothing bad down below.
I was thinking, okay, so I'm thinking this question's more about like becoming a reseller or a content creator, having it right next to the system requirements. I'm like thinking system-wise. So if you go to alchemyrpg.com/creators, we've got a whole landing page there about our creator partner program. And as we mentioned earlier, we want to have creators on Alchemy, big and small. Right now, we are focused on building out our marketplace, which is mainly more like larger creators, publishers, things like that. But we actually already have a lot of partnerships with smaller creators, independent creators. So we're not taking those right now. We're just focusing on one thing because we have so little limited resources. But I would say minimum requirements, I mean, it's really a case by case. If you're someone who has like a collection of 10 token assets, that we'd probably want a little bit more, at least for marketplace. But for like the sharing tool, the public universe tool, I mean, that could be anything you wanted. You could share whatever you want. So more details on that, I think, to come as we get closer to that. Probably post V1 is like reselling of content. But if you are a creator, if you put things out on itch.io, if you put things out on DM's Guild, and you haven't put it out on DM's Guild and you're looking for somewhere else to put it, hit up /creators and send us an email.
Yeah. Okay, Kiruten asks, how usable will Alchemy be for users who do not have a stable internet connection or high internet speeds, such as for users who live in a remote or rural area with poor internet connectivity? So it's definitely an online first sort of tool. It requires an internet connection to connect to other people. We don't have an offline mode for like local play while offline on our roadmap. We do things to try to reconnect you. You know, if you have an unstable connection, it drops in the middle of the game. We try to get you back in there without losing anything. But of course, with video chat and with voice chat, that's, you know, you'll miss out on a little bit of that while your connection is down. But I think it's similar to the system requirements. You can kind of scale your game from potato to, you know, Ferrari or something. Like you just keep disabling features until you get to a point that feels good. And I would say part of this, so Chris mentioned that we do a lot of compression and things on our end. We try to use optimized file types in the marketplace content. If you're building your own game, you can do some of that yourself. So don't put like a 5 megabyte map into your game, or, you know, a background image that's 8K resolution. Bring things down, use good compression formats like WebP, and use a 1080p image. You know, if you're not playing with people who are on like a 4K display and running it maximized, you probably don't need a 4K image in the background. So there are things that you can do on your end when building games, and there are things that we are already doing to help make that a little bit better. Any other comments, Chris?
Well, I was just going to say that you know, all the stuff that we are ingesting is all optimized and compressed, and we have a lot of standards for that balances like a nice high quality image for high density displays. But the file sizes never exceed a megabyte. At least if it's a static image, we try to compress no more than 500K, which we should probably compress more, but I refuse to make the quality worse than that.
Yeah.
Because, whatever. But that's all I would add to it.
Here's a good one, Chris. ReachX asks, do founders still have to contribute to the Kickstarter?
Sorry, I'm not laughing at this question. I'm at where my brain took this, which is that all of our founders must. They've been commanded to support the Kickstarter.
Yeah, you may not remember, but you signed a contract when you got your founder box that said, we will back everything you do forever. Just kidding, Noah. We did not do that.
No, yeah. No, I understand the question. I think that this is something we've talked about a lot. For those of you that don't know, we ran the early access founders program, and that took 1,000 people who wanted to support us early on, and they have founder accounts which come with bespoke benefits and content and things like that. It was kind of like a mini version of this Kickstarter, but our founders always get special things, special treats, rewards, things like that. And we are working on something for every one of you who support the Kickstarter. Obviously, you don't have to support the Kickstarter if you don't want to, but if you choose to, you will get something a little bit more. And that's all I'll say about it. We'll talk.
Okay, Citric asks, if we have already backed or purchased a content card that will be in one of the packs, is there a way we can exchange it for something else instead of having duplicates? For example, Historica Arcanum.
Yeah, I saw this come through last night.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you because I love that this question about duplicates is duplicated in our article. And I think maybe Asher put that in, or maybe you put that in and someone's trolling us. Or it just happened. That's good.
That's amazing. Serendipity, you know. We saw the black cat twice. Yeah, so this is tricky. Someone messaged us this question last night, and I think it's totally valid. What I told that person individually was get in touch with us about the dupe content, and we will credit you or work on something individually with you. We don't want to say blanket that like, yeah, hey, you're going to get all this free stuff, but contact us. We will make it right. We will make it awesome for you. So whether that's a credit, whether that's a refund on some purchase before that you're getting duplicated case by case. So get in touch with us, Citric.
Gen asks, when will we get support for representations of physical items like 3D dice or playing cards? Let's start with that one.
Yeah. I think So first of all, cards is definitely something we're working on, um, and actually dice too. In a not 3D dice, but dice. So we were talking about this earlier, but there are several things in alchemy we said we'd never do in the beginning, but we find our way to them in our own way. And one of the things we said in the beginning was that we are not building a virtualized manifest of the table and its components. We are building a reimagined way to experience the cinematic immersion of games that you play in the theater of the mind. And so with that, we don't want to harken back to plastic three-dimensional objects dropping onto the screen. We aren't creating a virtualized play surface in that way. We're creating a window into the world. And so when we think about things like dice, we think about what do we love about them? We love the idea of clinking them around in our hands. We love the idea throwing them and then seeing the anticipation of them kind of moving and shaping and then falling and the outcome. And so there's a lot of things. There's the aspect of collecting dice or having dice represent who you are or who your character is. And these are all like attributes and characteristics of why we love dice that we absolutely want to bring into alchemy. And I can say that we are talking to specific dice people, dice creators, about collaborations in building a dice component into alchemy that is not dice. Same thing with cards. As some of you may have seen, we are going to be bringing Alice is Missing onto alchemy. We're working on that now. That game almost exclusively runs in cards, and we think that that's a big part of the role-playing game experience. Again, it will just be our interpretation of cards on alchemy, not necessarily a deck of cards on a flat surface that fan out play.
Yeah. What will measuring support look like in V1? Rulers, cones, squares, spheres, etc. Rulers, yeah. Chris dropped this one on me in our Kickstarter page. It's like, hey, look, we have a design for rulers now. Yeah, we kind of need that. I mean, it's another thing that's evolved, I think, throughout this project is, all right, now we have a grid. It's a pain to count squares and figure out how far it is. We'll build a ruler. I think cones and squares and spheres are definitely something that'll fit into that as well, because, for spell effects in different games, you certainly need to be able to measure those and see if your spell hits everything in that cone area or a sphere. So yeah, those are all coming. I know we'll have rulers in V1. The other bits, probably, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
If not, I mean, we're not going to wait a year to ship stuff. We ship stuff literally almost every day. There's something going out there. We just talk about it once a week. But yeah, we do stuff all the time. So
for sure.
Will there be a way to import characters, notes, etc. from other games we are currently playing in Foundry or other systems? Yeah, so we do have, for Alchemy Unlimited subscribers, we do have an import and export process that uses our own data structure for what those characters look like. And shout out to Cursor and other community members for helping build a D&D Beyond import tool. So you can actually get characters directly from D&D Beyond into Alchemy. So all that's leading to the foundations are being laid for things like this to be able to import stuff from outside of Alchemy and bring it in. We don't have anything built for Foundry yet, but that's certainly something that we can consider, and probably another project that will open up to the open source community and let other people help out to maintain and build those integrations with other places.
Yeah, I think there's like a little bit of controversy in building a feature like this. We've talked about this a bit. We love Andrew from Foundry. We started playing role-playing games on Roll20. Like, we don't look at any of these other platforms as like platforms that you should not be playing on and you should absolutely flee from. Like, we want to create something new for you to come to if you choose to, or to create something that is something you always wanted to play on but didn't exist yet. And so I think that, to Isaac's point, if people do want to bring their content over, I think we'll probably leave it up to the community of developers to build those import tools. We'll expose, some of the data models and things like that we have if you bring things into Alchemy. But I think that as far as official support goes, like, you know, of being able to basically import things from different platforms. I don't know. I guess I'm just sharing my thoughts on it. It just feels a little bit icky that we would build that like first party into Alchemy. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely something to be tactful about.
right.
Oh, here's one for Chris, near and dear to his heart. Degenesis is one of the stretch goals. The game line was discontinued by the publisher last year, so is this a fan-made version?
No. Shout out to Six More Vodka and Marco if you're watching. We've been so excited about Degenesis for so long. It's one of my favorite games, primarily because of the story world itself. The universe is absolutely impeccable. It's visually stunning. There's been an incredible amount of detail and thought placed in it, and when we had an initial sapling or a seedling of an idea for Alchemy, we were already contacting Six More Vodka about getting Degenesis on Alchemy, and it was like way too early, like years too early. Yeah. But now the time has finally come. We're going to be bringing Degenesis on the platform. It has been discontinued, but there is a mountain of content, so much content from that game that will be playable in perpetuity forever. There's absolutely no reason that we can't all keep playing Degenesis because they're not making new stuff. That said, I think that this partnership with the team, they are continuing to do cool stuff around the IP Degenesis. And if you follow along, or if you are fans of Six More Vodka, you've seen this announcement come out recently that they are doing more things with the brand in games. And so you should definitely check that out, Clan Wars. But the bringing Degenesis to Alchemy, I think, is something that has, in a way, it breathes new life into the game. It creates a new way to experience it, and it's just something that like nobody's really invested heavily into in the past. I think people have made, fan-made like Foundry imports and things like that, but no, we are working directly with the team at Six More Vodka to do an enhanced version. We will probably be collaborating on creating those assets, at least from a creative direction standpoint. So no, it's definitely officially licensed. It's officially supported creatively, and I guess I'll say this: I wouldn't be surprised if we do some net new Degenesis stuff. So we'll leave it at that. But conversations to be had in the future with Marco and team.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Marco, different Marco asks, can you please elaborate? Could be Marco, I don't know. Could you please elaborate the specifics you plan to have for tactical mode? Some details I'm interested in and couldn't find an answer about are, will the measuring tools also contain shape templates? We kind of touched on that one earlier. Will there be a drawing tool? Yes. As a GM, can I force my players to enter and leave tactical mode? Gonna pause there. What do you think, Chris?
This came up the other day. I definitely think that from a storytelling perspective, you need to be able to withhold different things until the time is right. So I think being able to disable tactical is one thing. And then when it's available, you want to be able to present that in the beat of your story in a way that's exciting, instead of like, oh, hey, hit the tactical button to check the map. So I think disabling and then pushing it. But I think beyond those two things, having the ability to jump in and out of it as you see fit as a user or as a player, you should absolutely be able to do. So that's my thought on that.
Yeah. Can I hide the HP/AC of monsters from players? Yes, and I think that's already hidden.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
is
think
hidden.
players can see it unless you've chosen to share on an NPC. There's like a switch to share more stuff with the players. I don't remember if that includes HP or not, but that should be hidden. And if it's not hidden, that's a bug. We'll fix it. Will there be some automation? For example, a player can directly attack a monster, and Alchemy will check the player attack rolls against the monster's AC and reduce its HP automatically. Chris?
Yeah, we talked a ton about targeting early on. And I always wanted to do it. I always thought this would be great. It would remove such a speed bump in the role-playing game process. But philosophically, we're always trying to skirt this line between too much automation and like becoming a video game, and then doing the things that we love to do and make role-playing games what they are. Like, honestly, some of the work, some of the deduction, some of the leaving it up to the GM to make a decision in the moment is a part of what we love. And we don't want to take those things away by too much automation. You can imagine that if you're playing this game or playing a game and there is no, does that hit, does that miss? What does the GM want to say about it? Like, if it's all just computed for you, then we're almost kind of entering into this storytelling video game. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of merit to automation like this. Maybe it's something that we put behind a setting. Maybe it's something that you can activate for different types of things. If you want to play a more binary, like computed game versus a game that's more fudged in storytelling, and have ways to introduce inspiration or fudge rolls or whatever, then those are things that you can do. But I don't know. How do you feel about automation these days, Isaac?
I think we have to do it kind of carefully where we go into that, because I think the problem with automating something like a targeted attack roll is that it takes the agency out of the game master's hands. They can no longer fudge that roll and say that you hit because it makes sense for the story. And that's something that I feel pretty strongly about, that I never want to take that away from the GM to be able to decide whether or not that fits the story. However, I think it could be an option, right? Where maybe you're the type of GM who wants to focus more on the story and not on the mechanics. And so automating those mechanical aspects is actually beneficial for you to tell a better story, because you don't have to worry about whether things hit in combat. You can be thinking about the next beat of the story. So
Yeah.
I think having it be optional is certainly something that we'll consider strongly in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, I've been scrolling through the YouTube live chat here while you were talking about something, and I copied a bunch of questions out. So we're going to start going through those. Starting with, are there any plans to incorporate a full Wikia type structure for Alchemy? Would love to maximize the all-in-one and reduce usage of notes like OneNote, reduce usage of apps like OneNote or Wikia alternatives?
I mean, that's what Universe is, right?
Yeah. I think we have lots of things that we want to add to Universe to make it fit more of like have more easily interlinked pages. Right now you can do it. It's just a little clunky. You kind of have to copy and paste some codes in and do things like that. Right. But yeah, we'll definitely continue to build that. And I think one of the benefits of us eating our own dog food, as I said an hour and a half ago, is that we need these features ourselves to be able to build, marketplace content. We build the marketplace content for some of our partners. Some of our partners build their own marketplace content, but we always need that stuff. And we share it with you. So yeah, definitely more coming to Universe to make it more of a powerful tool.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's a really good one for you, Chris. Why set the Kickstarter goal at $10,000?
Oh man. So yeah, obviously we need a little bit more than $10,000 to make all these assets and things like that. Pulling the curtain back a little bit, Kickstarter's a thing. Like it's a state of mind, and there are ways to strategically run Kickstarters. There's a lot that goes into it, from a planning perspective, marketing, promotion. advertising, like, and sort of building this anticipatory moment. And part of that is if you can hit your funding goal early, then it really helps the algorithm pick up your Kickstarter page and say like, oh, it's a funded project, yada yada. I'm just being super transparent because that's the only thing I know how to do. But like, that's why the goal is set so low. And I think that even though our expectations have been blown away, I think that we felt fairly confident that in a month we could get to at least $10,000. But yeah, I think that's why the goal set so low. It's purely a tactical thing. It's how to run a successful Kickstarter 101, I guess. And we were advised to do that by our marketing team, so that's why we did it. Bus roll.
Okay. Apologies to everyone who has posted questions. I have not been getting your usernames out of chat, so these are all from Anonymous at this point. The only questions this person, Anonymous, has are about card export. Will I be able to create decks of cards or use decks of cards in games?
Yes.
Good answer.
Eventually. Not V1, but...
Well, there will be something for
yeah.
V1 for, like, Alice is Missing. Wait, shoot, is that a V1 title still? I might be out of date.
It's not being offered on the Kickstarter, but
spoilers.
Yeah, like that is in my top 2 like most wanted titles on Alchemy. It's like the perfect title for Alchemy. And so I know I've been thinking about it. I have a design for it already. In the Kickstarter video, at the end the interface is falling. But yeah.
Yeah, great title for Potatoes too, because you can just play text-based.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. Will I be able to get access to content online before the physical cards ship?
Yes. I can't say how far in advance, but we will definitely not be holding anything back while you wait on shipping or things get lost in the mail or whatever. The cards are an accessory. The cards are something that do hold your redemption code, so you could gift those cards to people, and it becomes a physical manifestation of them. But we will also be distributing all of your redemption codes content through the pledge manager. And so as soon as we're ready to fulfill, we will fulfill all those codes, and then we will ship your cards. And it's up to you. You could either, redeem early, or you could wait for your cards and unbox them and hit the codes and do it in that experience, which is kind of fun. But it's kind of the same thing with the founders, right? Like some founders would order a founder box, and then they would ask for, their code early. And so we would do that. But yeah, we definitely won't be holding things back or hamstringing anything with the Postal Service.
Bold words. Is there any possibility of more Free League products coming on board? I can answer this one. Yeah, we already have 2 of them that couldn't be on the Kickstarter. What are those, Chris?
Well, we can't say officially because of Kickstarter. The licensing is something we've learned a ton about in this process, that there are licensors of products that are licensing the IP. And so that license chain kind of goes down and trickles down to us, who we kind of go up 3 levels to somebody like Disney, and so when those chains start with Disney, when they start with Viacom, Nickelodeon, like there's a lot more things that we can't say publicly. There's a lot of restrictions on how we present that content, i.e. on a crowdfunding platform or in a bundle with other titles. So I would say that yes, we are working on getting many more Free League titles. I can tell you de facto, I'll just put this to bed right away, we will not be able to get any of the Lord of the Rings content or One Ring, which I know is a big bummer for a lot of people.
Unless we hit that $1 billion stretch goal and buy the Tolkien estate.
Yeah. We do have an unannounced $1 billion stretch goal. to buy the token estate so we can get one ring. And so if we hit that, then absolutely we'll get anything you want. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. I know that it's a less straightforward answer. When you're just like, I just want to play the game I want to play, but there's a lot of like legal hoops and IP hoops that we have to jump through to get games. But yes, all the games that you love about Free League, it's likely that we'll have those, with the exception of the One Ring.
I'd love to understand, what do I get when I have access to a rule set, not the enhanced edition? The content from the core books, similar to a PDF, character sheets, NPCs?
Yeah. So everything is fully integrated into Alchemy. So the PDF is, we actually take the source file that was used to create the PDF, and we bring all of that content in programmatically. So this is a painstaking process that we have a team of people doing. Shout out to all of our content ingestion team, who are painstakingly copying and pasting content into an Alchemy universe. The reason why this is better than a PDF is because it's formatted for your screen. It will scale to mobile. It's copy and pastable. So if you want to throw something in your chat, you can do that. But it's made for digital screens, and we are converting all of that content in a way that looks beautiful in Alchemy, but also respects and pays homage to how the original editorial designers designed it for the books. We are also fully mechanizing all of the NPCs, spells, magic items, scenes. We're creating formatted assets. Every single universe that you get on Alchemy, you can break all the pieces apart and use in your games however you want. We're also making it to where anything you buy on Alchemy is fully downloaded. So one of the things that we are working on, business thing that we're trying to work on with the partners, is that like if you decide you don't want to be a part of Alchemy anymore, you can download your PDFs, and that way none of your content ever gets platform locked to Alchemy. And so uploading, downloading, it's a huge part of what we're doing. The other thing I would say too, and I really want to be clear, was Alchemy Enhanced adds a bunch of assets: the motion graphics, the music, the soundscapes. All of that stuff can be used in any of your games. So if you think about the Kickstarter, right now we have unlocked 55 titles. If you back the backer box, you're getting 55 titles, of which 9, I think it's 9 or 10 at this point, are enhanced, with Cthulhu being an 11th one. So already right now you have, if there are 10 motion overlays, 10 and 10 soundscapes, that's 100 motion overlays, that's 100 soundscapes that you extract from those games and use for your homebrew stuff. So yeah, we think a lot about the content you buy on Alchemy like Legos. You buy a race car Lego set, you use the instructions to build the race car, then you disassemble it and put all the pieces into a box and build your own stuff later.
Yeah. Quick time check. We are 27 minutes over, and we still have about a dozen to 16 questions to go through, so we might want to start rapid firing some of these.
Let's do
it. So next up, well, rapid fire and Chris. Wow, that's funny. I'm interested in the add-ons, but I didn't select them when I pledged. Can I add them later in Backer Kit?
Yes.
Yes. Would there be an option to get Alchemy Unlimited if people miss the Kickstarter? Yes. Yeah, you can get Alchemy Unlimited today if you want. Hop on in there and subscribe. Any future plans to allow custom content to be used alongside marketplace content for using a custom tactical map with a marketplace adventure module?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's all open.
Yeah, you can do that now, actually. When you create a game, go to the content tab, you can turn on any number of universes, custom ones, marketplace ones, and mix and match all that content into your game today. Do we have any more enhancements planned for Lore of Aetherra?
Lore of Aetherra is kind of the in a lot of ways the prototype enhanced title. All of the scenes are motion scenes, all the music and ambience for everything. And so we will probably we will continue with dark symmetry to uphold that level of fidelity with the assets. So there might be some things we want to go back and add to Aetherra. Like the dynamic audio is something that we created, but we never implemented. Now we have the ability to break sound and music. So yeah, I would say to a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that Lore of Aetherra is already enhanced, and the UI that it has is the Lore of Aetherra in Alchemy Enhanced UI. It just happens to be the one that we use for every other game too. Well, yeah. Almost every other game. What will be enhanced in Call of Cthulhu, the starter or the core book?
Oh, sorry. I was reading a different question. What will be included in the Call of Cthulhu?
Yeah, what's enhanced? Are we enhancing the starter set or the core book?
Oh, good question. It's the starter set.
Starter set, cool. Any chance for enhancements for City of Mist?
Actually, I mean, I don't want to spoil any stretch goal surprises, but yeah, we've been talking to them.
Very
it's a possibility.
Cool. Can you clarify the difference between the enhanced versions and the regular versions of titles?
Yeah, so the regular versions of titles will have a universe integration and all the mechanized content, scenes, etc. The enhanced versions will have original music, ambient sound, motion overlays, an animated title screen, and a bespoke thematically designed user interface, which are the interfaces mockups that you see on the pledge or the Kickstarter of Dragonbane and Coriolis and things like that. All of those assets we are making to officially support those licensed titles.
How expansive / inclusive is the lifetime tier actually going to be? Yeah, I'm not super sure either. Pretty expansive and pretty inclusive. I mean, it's life. It's for your life. It's anything that we ever offer in Alchemy Unlimited. You'll get that for life.
Yeah, and we should clarify, I guess, that like we have one subscription tier. It's unlimited. It's just all of our best stuff, or you use the free one. And I think we're gonna try to keep it that way forever if we can. Yeah. But if there's ever a moment where we say like, hey, there's free a silver and a gold, then this lifetime will always be the gold.
Yeah. This is a good time to answer a related question that came in a little bit later, but, time is up to us, it seems. Will Alchemy Unlimited include any more benefits for subscribers in the future? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there may be more things that we add that are specific to Unlimited, and there may be things that are out there today that we move into Unlimited. So it's definitely, it will become more valuable over time for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, just to elaborate on that, one of the things we don't really know when we have massive scale on the platform is like how expensive storage and bandwidth will be at like mega scale. We've got a lot of early access users. We've been measuring a lot of that data, and right now for free, you can upload as much as you want. And so, I would like to keep it that way forever. But if there's a world where, 1 million people join Alchemy and our ship is sinking because we have unlimited storage, maybe we'll tier that to unlimited.
What does the feature roadmap look like for combat, tactical maps, grid movement, measurement, spell effects, actions, being able to target tokens, etc.? I would say the best place to look at that is in Alchemy, the little flask. Look at the roadmap. This is our version 1 roadmap. This is not complete. I know there's a couple things we've kind of decided made it into the version 1 roadmap recently. So we still need to update this, but this gets updated frequently, at least weekly. So keep an eye on this for what's coming. Specifically for tactical, that's all here. Will the ability to create dynamic music be something made available to third-party creators? It would be sweet to include some in a module.
What was the first part of that?
The ability to create dynamic music. I think we're not really planning on offering tools to create the music yourself or like choose how it gets mixed. And that's kind of how I'm interpreting this one.
Yeah. So the dynamic music is going to be Alchemy like only thing, and I say that just because I think it'll be much more of a power user feature for like composers. So I don't know, I guess we'd have to think about that a little bit more. I think we would just be opening up people to create really bad experiences for like the lay user to uploading like 3 different songs that you can mix between with different beats and rhythms and things like that.
Yeah.
But we can look into that for sure.
Yeah. Kids on Bikes 2, what are the plans for decks of cards in games? There are a lot of indie RPGs these days that use cards. Do you want to elaborate on plans for cards anymore? We kind of talked about it a little bit, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think the short answer is we're definitely going to support cards. It'll probably look a little different than a skeuomorphic looking deck of cards that flip and, you know, look like paper. We'll probably make them look like they were built for alchemy.
Yeah, that's a safe bet. Shipping question. I know Asher's been answering some of these, so this may not need a super detailed answer, but any idea if we'll be shipping to UK addresses from within the UK, or will they be coming from the EU? And this is an import tax question.
Yeah, it's a really good question. We talked about this the other day. We are going to try to ship from hubs, but we don't know for sure yet. But that's definitely what we're going to shoot for. We think that's better for you guys. And we think that increases the chances of lost packages, which it's been a nightmare not doing that with our books for some of our other campaigns. We end up losing a lot of packages just because different countries and customs and things like that. So definitely erring on the side of shipping from.
Okay, what will the V2 project scope include? Get out your crystal ball.
Yeah, I've got the next 5 years planned, but I think we'll just have to wait till V1's out.
Yeah, can't really focus on anything else right now.
I mean, I guess I could say things like imagine mobile. One of the other big things is we really want to solve the in-person experience. I think that's a really big thing we're focused on. We're working on a really big unannounced secret project that you'll know about later this year. That's going to be a game changer. I think what else? All the VTT features, all the game system support. Yeah.
Search in Marketplace.
Yeah, search.
That's the next question here. Will there be a search tab? Yeah, it's just not going to be in V1 because we don't have time to build anything. And our marketplace isn't massive right now, but it's about to be when we add 55 or more titles to it. So I think part of the V2 or the post V1, V1.1 scope will be search that marketplace.
I will say too, like there will be 55 titles from what you see in the Kickstarter, but there are also those add-ons, so all of the back catalogs for every Free League title, many of the Modiphius titles, Magpie titles that you don't see on the Kickstarter are all going to be in V1. Our team is already ingesting those. There will be over 100 new titles in the marketplace when we go live. So
wow, that's a lot. If we do not opt out from physical cards, what would you mark the value of the cards as when it ships? If I go lifetime and I have to pay VAT for the EU, it will cost hundreds of dollars.
Ooh. Yeah, we will mark the values pretty low. Physically they're just paper, and they're going to be pretty inexpensive to ship. And the value of those cards, what they're redeemable for. I think the fact that they're just like little pieces of paper or cardboard, we can declare that value versus what the redemption value is, because you'll already have that value in your redemption codes that emailed to you. So what we ship will just be paper.
For users that are only interested in a few games, will they be able to purchase it later, or how long is it going to take to make those titles available to non-Kickstarter backers? So first part, yes, you'll be able to purchase everything later. How long will it take?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I guess what I envisioned is I think Kickstarter backers will get their stuff, but I think that not a ton earlier. Kickstarter backers are definitely getting mega discounts. Yeah, I think everything will be available in the Alchemy Marketplace shortly after fulfillment.
Yeah. If I like some of the music, can I download it and play it on the side, or is it locked to Alchemy?
Yeah, you can download it for sure.
Yeah. You can download everything from our universes as long as they were created as assets and not as like just a scene with something uploaded to it. That's one thing that we feel pretty strongly about. We don't want you to have to DRM, just kind of in general, is not high on our list of things that we like. What limits do you think will be placed when some goofball uploads 100 million pictures of their cat? I can dive into this one. I guess it kind of depends. 100 million
if
is a
they're
lot.
Cats, then it's okay.
If they're cats, it's okay. Cats. Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. Obviously, there'll be some alarms triggered there. We would start seeing that we have many gigabytes stored by one specific user. We'd start kind of probably investigating what's going on here. Why is this happening? And we kind of handle that on a case by case basis. So, yeah, that's what we would do. Handle it on a case by case basis. Question: will there be improvement in the custom system and characters? So many improvements.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's kind of the starting point for a lot of the systems. We're adding support for 12 new systems through V1, and many of them are going to be custom system like foundations. So we're building tools into custom systems to support those games. So many things coming. Chris, if you want to dive into what those are specifically.
I was just going to say that the custom system builder is going to be all of the tools that we use to build other systems. So, dice pools, push mechanics, fudge dice, like anything exploding dice, any mechanic that we build to support any of the games that we need to support it's all going to be open and available for you to mix and match and make your stuff. So, yeah,
definitely. Okay, that is the end of the questions that we have. If anyone has a burning question that they haven't asked yet, you have a few moments probably while we start to wrap things up. We may jump back into another question. If not, we will follow up with more information to answer your question some other place and some other time.
Heck yeah. Well, I think an hour and 41 minutes is a lot of good questions answered there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good timeline.
Now I get to go through and make chapter timestamps for all of these.
All right, clear your schedule. This is what you're doing today. I don't know. I just want to say thank you to everybody. This has been really a shocking experience, I think, for us. We reached our personal goals on day one with this, and everything else from here is just we're just so humbled and grateful and excited, and it's just going to make this version 1 launch better. It's going to make Alchemy better. So we're really appreciative of all of your support. I also want to give a huge shout out to all of our moderators who are in chat now, who are on our Discord. Like, literally, we couldn't do this without you. We've been flooded with questions and comments on a million different platforms, and we're all very aggressively developing towards our version 1 timeline. Just because the campaign's running doesn't aggressively working to achieve these goals. So huge shout out to you. Huge shout out to the Alchemy team. We love you guys, and really appreciative of all the hard work that you're putting in right now, in addition to answering things. And then lastly, if any of you are watching, content partners, for all of your support on this Kickstarter. It's been an overwhelming amount of yeses and green lights and trust. And we just really appreciate you putting the trust of your IP and your brands in our hands. And to our backers, super excited about you all, almost 2,000 of you now. Thank you so much for backing this dream of ours that we've had for a long ass time.
Yeah. A long time. Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody. Kickstarter's still alive for 26 days as we record this, so if you haven't jumped on there, get on in there. And yeah, thank you all so much.
Keep sending us your questions, comments, feature requests, system requests. We get a lot of system requests. The short answer on all that is we're working on it, probably. So keep the questions coming. We're here for it.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all.
One more thing I'll say is if you have like specific Alchemy like current state questions that you want answered, I'm recording a devlog episode next Friday, and you can use the same form that is in the places to submit questions, and I'll record responses to those. So another chance for some of those questions next week. All right.
Rad, Dad.
Thanks, everybody. Let's go play some games.
Yeah.
Okay. We're off.
Nice.